on our trip back from Yellowstone, we had one of the worst days I've had in a very long time. It's kind of one of those days that if one thing goes wrong, that's okay. If two things go wrong, that's okay. But multiple things kept going wrong. Every time we turned around, it was not what we wanted to happen. Colorado Springs, I don't know if I can give you another chance. It was rough. It wasn't just one thing, it was all the things combined. Enjoy.
Welcome back, Loganites. So, I don't know if we had discussed the plan, but the plan was last night we stayed in vernal Utah Dinosaur Land, in a little cabin without air conditioning, but with beds, so we didn't have to unpack all of our camping gear for 2 nights. And it was nice, but it was very, very hot. So that was doable, but not the best.
It was worse than sleeping in a tent.
Was it?
Yeah.
I liked having a bed, but then my back's been hurting this trip, so it really didn't matter. I probably would have been fine in the tent. So anyway, today we were supposed to stay in kind of the same situation, but in Colorado Springs. And our thought was that Colorado Springs may be a little bit cooler, maybe it won't be as bad. So, and then the big seller was that there was a giant water park at our KOA. So we pull up, we see the water park, it looks awesome. We suspiciously note that there are no children playing on it. So we go inside, and I go inside, and there's already a guy who they're trying to help, and the lady behind the counter seems very confused. Then he's saying, hey, do you know how much longer it's gonna be? Apparently, the campsite he was supposed to be at, and mind you, it's like 3:30 right now. Check-in is before 3 o'clock. Check-out is 11. There was still someone in his camping spot, and the lady was saying that, oh, well, only the wife is there, and she doesn't know how to put it together, so we're waiting on the husband to come back to move the trailer so you can get in your spot. That should have been a sign.
Right down there.
2, I'm standing there. The lady in front of me is like, no, I've already paid. They're trying to get her to pay for a stay she's already paid for because they can't find a receipt. And they're like, well, where's your receipt? And she's like, my husband checked us in. He's in the car. And she's like, oh, well, it says that you still owe for the second night. Finally, the manager comes in, and she's like, no, the receipt's right here, and shows them. I was like, this is not a good sign, man. And as they're standing there, they tell the third person in line that the water park is not open. 3 strikes, they're out, okay? Water park isn't open. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, that's the whole reason, the major reason that we booked this one. And she was like, oh, yeah, someone came by and said that we couldn't open it because of something that was wrong. And our pool's not open yet, but the pool will be open tomorrow. I was like, we won't be here tomorrow. That's when Logan came in. To just put a little cherry on top, the cabin wasn't even ready for us. They didn't have a key. They didn't have a key to the cabin.
Well, tell them you texted me. You texted me that all this had gone down, and I was like, oh, no.
Because you know I gotta let him know what's going on. So he's like, oh, hell no. So he walks up in there, big time money like he is, and I was like, baby, it's okay. And he's like, no, it's not okay. I was like, oh, no, here we go. So we walk outside because I was like, wait, you don't need to just like straight up be like, we want our money back because I don't know if there's anywhere to stay. So we look up online places to stay, and they're not cheap. Like most of the places were like $320, like $280 for one night. And I was like, oh my God. So we found this one place on, ooh, this is a soft blanket.
This is the best place we've stayed in yet. I've got a desk and a chair.
So we like looked up just like budget ins, right? So tax and everything included, $111. Let me show you this room. Part of me is super excited about it. Part of me is like, oh my God, this cost me $111. Let's start.
Yeah, start with the janky parking lot.
Let me show you the janky parking lot. It's cool. We're not going to get robbed or anything. Yeah, it's cool. Oh, bonus. We booked this one because it has a pool. Apparently their pool hasn't worked in over a year. Add that to the list. It doesn't even have water in it. We pulled up and I was like, please be okay, please be okay. We pulled in the corner and I was like, suspiciously I don't see any chairs out around the pool and there's no one at the pool. After we got out of the car, we realized there was no water even in the pool. Like, and everybody's still wearing masks here. I was like, what the hell? So, this is our room. Pretty decent mini fridge. Little TV, microwave. Levi has his own full or queen size bed. I don't know. Logan's living his best life because he has a chair and a computer. Look at this little wall. And then we have a king size bed. Big thing right here is that there's an air conditioning unit. The bathroom's not that bad. It does have a hair dryer. That makes me happy because I haven't had one this entire trip. So anyway, adventures in vacation.
Remember,
always
keep your corn
on the cob.
butthole.
It's not butthole, it's cob. Okay, one more thing we forgot to say to add insult to injury. We decided to find a super cool place to eat lunch, and we did. We found a super cool place to eat lunch. It was in like at the bottom of Pikes Peak, and it was like Americana kind of food, and it had a river running through it. It was super nice outdoor seating. But when we walked up, they said, "Oh, we have a party of 20 that just sat." And we were like, "What the hell?" Like they probably held what 30 to 40 people anyway.
Yeah.
And they sat at a party of 20. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so we're just going to kind of like wait 15 minutes or whatever to seat you. And we are like, okay, it looks like they're taking the appropriate steps. Being smart about it.
Sounds like you were setting a good expectation.
Right. So we go over to the park for a minute, come back. We finally come back up there. We have to wait a little bit longer than we thought. And then we go and sit down. We order our drinks. The food on the menu looked so good. Oh my gosh, so good. And we were really excited about the food. Well, there was a table that got sat in front of us, and then us, and the 20 top. Well, the 20 top got sat, and they had ordered their food right when we sat down. Well, I looked at my my phone to see what time it was, because I was like, ooh, we were thinking about doing Pikes Peak. Stop. We were talking about doing Pikes Peak. And if we did that, we needed to leave there in enough time. So I looked, and it was 1 o'clock. And the reason I know it was 1 o'clock, because Logan said they closed at 2. And I thought, oh, we have an hour. That's fine. Like, no big deal. So we order our food at 2 o'clock. At 1 o'clock. At 1:30, I think, it's been a while. But food's coming out, and let me tell you, the food looked amazing. It looked so good. I was like, okay, it's going to be worth it. It's fine. It's okay. It's going to be worth it. An hour later, she comes back. The waitress does. And she's been getting us drinks and checking on us. An hour later, she comes back and says, the food is about to come out for the 20 top.
They still got 5 more people. She said what she said specifically was they have 5 more plates of food that's coming out, and then they're going to start to get our food in, or start cooking. She didn't say it exactly like that. She said it in a different way about how our food was going to get in there. So I sat there and I go, you're telling me you haven't even dropped our food yet? You haven't started cooking it? She goes, no, it's back there. I'm like, no.
The ingredients are back there.
I get the ingredients are back there. I get you've put the order in with the kitchen, but the kitchen hasn't put the actual food to the grill? Hold the phone. At 30 minutes, I'm a little upset, whatever. At an hour, I'm not paying for my food.
Yeah.
And you should pay me for as long as I've sat there.
So we knew there was a restaurant next door, and so I was like, well, obviously what was annoying is the people in the front of house weren't doing a bad job. Like, they were on top of things. They were doing all the things they needed to do. They were running around. They looked like they were working hard. They weren't slacking off. So I felt bad, but I was like, obviously it's not their fault. It's management's fault. So I told them to just go, and then I would deal with it. So I tried to pay for our drinks at least, and she was like, please, no, don't do that. It was horrible. So we went next door, and we ate. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It was a bar, really, but
Good food for a bar.
It had pretty good food for a bar, but it was crazy.
And then we get here, and the pool's empty. It doesn't have any water in it. No, first the KOA, their stuff's closed. It's running. We get here because we had to cancel the KOA, and the pool is empty. Empty, I tell you. Empty.
So it's been a really weird day. I don't know. I feel like there was a movie that was like, what is it, like a redo day or something?
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
even know.
like
That's what
Crazy
we
Day?
need. This has been insane. I'm so hoping that we can redeem ourselves tonight with this restaurant I looked up yesterday.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I want to deal with another restaurant.
Logan doesn't even know he wants to do it. Here's the bad part. I want to go so bad. It is a German restaurant, authentically German restaurant, and it has like everything German. But now that I'm a vegetarian, like I can't eat much of it, but I'm gonna go hopefully and just stare at everybody else's food and be like, oh my God, please. This is actually the only place that I will probably break that, but I can't do that on a trip like this. If I get sick, we have to drive all day tomorrow. But oh my God, I would. All right, so anyway, like we always say, Loganites, always keep your corn on the cob. First of all, let me back up. We drive all the way over to this freaking German restaurant, and it is packed, and I'm like, yes, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be freaking awesome. There's all these expensive cars. We're gonna spend like a bunch of money, and it's gonna be baller. We walk in, I'm looking at the desserts, everything looks great. We get up to the front, and I said, do you guys have space for 3? And he goes, unfortunately, I don't. We have 400 reservations this weekend, and I almost cried. I literally, Logan saw it on my face. I literally was like, I can't. I literally was like, this has been, at the desk, I said, this has been the worst day ever. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I wish I could fit you guys in. I just can't. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And I was like, let's go. I was like, I should have known. So we get out to the car. I'm like, I can't even speak right now. I can't speak. I just have to be. So we're like looking stuff up, and I'm just like, I don't even care. Just take me wherever. I don't even care anymore. I don't care. So we pull up to this restaurant called Sushi Ring. And I was like, there's no one in there. There's no one in there. But I see it's set up kind of nice. There's like a wraparound sushi bar. And we were like,
but we've had good experiences with hole in the wall sushi.
Yeah.
We really have.
Yeah. So we go in, we sit down, and everything's fine. We order. That's okay. We start looking around. We're like, oh my God, we're surrounded by. You got my picture, right?
Yeah, I did.
I sent a picture of the girl making sushi with a little bit of the
Elvis.
The Elvis stuff behind her.
Yeah.
I was like, that was just part of it. And they had their masks on, right? So actually, I didn't even realize that they were Hispanic because of the masks. And they were like, they're all dressed up in their outfits and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This looks pretty authentic. Then they start straight up speaking Spanish to each other. And I was like, oh my God, we are in a sushi shop. We're in a sushi store restaurant. And they're speaking Spanish because they're not even Asian. I was like, oh my God, we've messed up.
I'm going to show you to Dad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Dad.
The worst day ever.
No good.
The worst day.
Keep going.
So I can't stop yet. So we get our food, we're eating it, and like I realize there's like nothing left in my drink cup. No one's come to refill it. I'm like, all right, cool. So then Logan's like, we're all done. We're done. We've been done. So then we're like, okay, we asked for a check in the box. The box comes. Check has yet to come. We're just sitting there, done, at the bar. There's only like one other couple in when we ask for the check. Another family comes in. They take their order. We've already asked for the check. Take their order, do all these things. And finally, she comes up and she goes, oh, do you guys want the check? We were like, yeah.
You weren't speaking Spanish.
Yeah. We want the check. We've asked for the check already. And Logan's been pretty visibly like, I'm over this place, and speaking out loud on how ridiculous it is that he keeps asking for, having to ask to pay places. It's like, that should be your sign. So the
And I was
lady
like, 30
walks up,
seconds. I was like, I said I give them 30 seconds.
out loud in that loud of a voice.
I said I give them 30 seconds, and then I'm walking out.
So magically they come out and ask if we want the check. So then this happens.
Oh, yes.
And you know me, Mom. You know that no matter what, you're pretty much always going to get 20% from me. No matter what.
Right.
She goes, are either one of you military? I said, no, we're EMS, actually. And she looks at me like, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, this bitch doesn't know what EMS is. And then I said, you know, like firefighters. I figured if I dumbed it down, she would get what I was saying. I said, no, you know, like firefighters. And she goes, oh, she got $0 tip. And we left. I did not tip them at all. Not a dime.
You've never done that.
I've never in my life done that. Because I've never had someone literally look at me in audacity for asking if they had an EMS discount. Which, I didn't even ask them for a discount.
No,
She asked if we were military. And I said, no, we're EMS. And then she had the audacity on her face to be like, please. There went your tip.
Yeah.
There it went. Bye.
Yeah.
We're out. I also had a first time happen to me earlier when we were at the bar where we ate lunch.
Right.
The owner of the restaurant who was waiting our table, we each had a drink because we'd been sitting there for freaking ever. So I was like, okay, I'll have one drink, and Logan had a beer. And she came back up to the table and she goes, do you guys want another round of drinks? And
You said.
I said, no, I have to drive. And she goes, you sure you don't just want one more? I was like, I have never in my life had someone still be like, you sure? After I said I had to drive. And she owned the bar.
That is a strange
This
place.
has been the weirdest day of my life.
Long story short, we don't think Colorado's for us.
Jokingly, not even really jokingly, we were like, we should move to Colorado.
That's how we start. That's how we started this
I
morning.
was literally like, I think we could do it, man.
We're
I
like,
think
when
we could
Levi
do it.
gets older.
Levi gets older, we're never coming back to this place.
You know that where you're at is where Joanne moved when you moved to Colorado.
Well, I'm just telling you right now, I'm never coming back to Colorado Springs, ever.
Right.
I'll come to Colorado, but I'm never coming back to Colorado Springs.
Manitou Springs is where we need to be.
Where?
Manitou Springs.
Manitou Springs.
It's the
I
town.
don't know.
It's the town over.
I don't know. It's not happening on this trip. I'll tell you that right now.
We're getting out of here
They're
really
gonna have
quickly.
Some time to redeem themselves before I come back to the States.
Oh
Oh my gosh! And then Levi, when we left that restaurant where they were like, we have 400 reservations this weekend. I was like, we walk out to the car and Levi's behind us like, 400 reservations. 400 reservations behind us out to the car. We get in the car and Logan's like, how about sushi? And Levi's like, what? What if they have 300 reservations?
my
He was over it.
Their day started and it's been one thing after another.
Colorado Springs really did not disappoint on how awful it could have been. Things that we still weren't aware of yet. The smoke detector didn't work. It was just glued onto the wall. There was blood on the toilet paper from where heroin or IV drug abusers clean their needles. And then the fire department got called later that night for a person down that they couldn't find. The deadbolt to the door did not work, so we ended up putting a mini fridge in front of the door, locking it to the best we could, sleeping with a hatchet and bear spray. It will be a memorable trip as long as I live.